request all of you to please take seats. Yeah, shall we begin? Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Bheru Rao, and I'm going to be the host for the evening. Ashish, thank you for the opportunity. Now, as they say that growth challenges us, but it is a sign that we are evolving. Staying stuck in a place that no longer serves us is far from more limiting. Growth, after all, is the clearest proof that we are truly alive and moving forward. Growth has always been the beating heart of progress, the energy that has been fueling organizations, individuals, and societies alike. And in today's fast changing and challenging world, growth is no longer an option, but it is essential. The growth mandate is a call to embrace growth not just as a goal, but as a responsibility, to pursue it with purpose, sustainability, and intent. It explores two intertwined dimensions: the strategic levers that drive business growth and the personal effectiveness required of leaders who must deliver it. Through practical insights, real world examples, and reflective tools, this book invites readers to rethink what it means to grow as businesses, as professionals, and as individuals. Now, at the heart of this philosophy is Ashish Saxena, a business leader and a growth strategist with over 2 decades of global experience. From his early days on the shop floor at Hindalco Industries to leading large-scale growth initiatives at Wipro, TCS, Innova Solutions, and his own private equity and technology advisory services, Ashish's journey reflects growth through purpose and people. He has been a lifelong learner and recipient of the Glory of India Award. Ashish is an engineer from HBTI Kanpur with advanced business education from Rutgers, Wharton, and Columbia Business School. Tonight, we will explore the book's ideas, hear real world perspectives, and celebrate the journey behind it. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, both in person at Tidal Waves and those who are there online. Thank you so much. So, with this, now as they say that leadership is not only about what is achieved today, but about what inspires people to follow tomorrow. True leaders create lasting impact by placing purpose above profit and nurturing the future generations. Pallavi Jha, Chairperson and Managing Director of Walchand People First Limited and Dell Carnegie Training India, truly embodies this spirit. With over 2 decades of experience across industries, she has transformed Walchand People First into one of Dell Carnegie's largest and most awarded global operations. A pioneer in talent development and employability, she continues to shape India's leadership landscape through purpose-driven growth and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have Pallavi on stage for her thoughts. A big round of applause for Pallavi, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. And special congratulations to Ashish for coming out with this very fine book, and thank you for inviting me. But most of all, gratitude to all of you for your enthusiasm, both for being in this room and online. and making yourself available to hear all of us. So thank you so much for being here. So let me start with what happened yesterday. A very momentous day in one of the world's most dynamic cities. Anyone can guess what I'm talking about? New York. Absolutely. So in New York City, a 34-year-old defied all odds. I'm thinking 34 years. My older one is just 34, and I think she's just 34. So, I mean, that's something that staggers me. But a 34-year-old defied all odds to win the mayoral elections, right? And we know that Suran Mamdani won that on a platform of bold ideas like affordability, inclusive growth. At a time like this, where the political inclination is on the other side, it is definitely sounding bold and radical empathy. Because what he did was really redefine leadership of possibilities. You know, it's not just a political moment, it's actually a leadership moment. Because in a world that's fast changing, and you've heard this often, fast changing, and we are constantly keeping pace with it, good leaders actually don't just manage the present, they actually reimagine the future. And it is this leap of possibility is what Ashish is inviting all of us to explore in his book, The Growth Mandate, rather. And moving from politics to something closer home in the corporate world. Just a few years ago, in 2014, a new CEO took over a company that had lost its spark. It was a big company, a powerful company, but it had stopped growing. Anybody wants to hazard a guess? It had stopped growing not because of its product, but because of its mindset. The CEO was Satya Nadella, and the company was Microsoft. So when Satya Nadella stepped into Microsoft, it was seen as a giant that had forgotten how to dream. And the teams were competing with each other instead of collaborating, and innovation had slowed down to a painful stop. But when Satya Nadella began, he didn't begin with a new product like many IT CEOs do. He began with a new conversation. He told his top leaders to read the book Non-Violent Communication, very powerful book. And with that, he introduced one word in Microsoft's vocabulary: empathy, right? And he also said that our job is not to be a know-it-all organization. Our job is to be a learn-it-all organization. And that single shift from ego to humility to empathy is what changed everything at Microsoft. He created what is called the growth culture. And we all know that a few years later, Microsoft had reinvented itself and became one of the world's most valuable, and still remains actually one of the most valuable and one of the most admired companies in the world. Now that story actually is the living embodiment of the growth mandate. At a time when we live in a world where the world is constantly disrupting itself, we must grow through it all, right? And I'm saying the word must because, as Ashish has rightly said, it's not a choice. Growth is a mandate. But what is growth really in today's world? It's not about markets and it's not about metrics. That's old hat. It's about the mindset. And the growth mindset is a term popularized by Carol Dweck a few years ago, still something that we're all trying to get a grasp of. And the growth culture is what Ashish talks about also, and is what Microsoft began to have, or does have now. So it's about a culture that balances ambition with empathy. It balances technology with humanity, and it balances success with significance. And that is what this book gives us, a compass for modern leadership. So we go back to Zoran Mamdani and we talk about Satya Nadella. Both of them had a bold vision. And we all love visionaries, right? Very popular. We love people who are dreamers, who break boundaries. But history remembers only those whose vision has really happened, right? So as the old saying goes, and I'm told that it's attributed to Thomas Edison, but I cannot say, that vision without execution is hallucination. So think about all the leaders we admire today. It is not people who just had a vision. It is people who had a great vision and also built systems and teams and discipline and processes to make it real. Take the case of Indra Nooyi. When she took over at Pepsi, she had a vision. Anybody wants to say what her vision was? Anybody familiar? All right, I'll give it to you. She said, in a world where Pepsi was living on its cola products and its chips and all of that, she created a vision saying, we'll have a healthier product portfolio, right? It was a compelling vision and a bold vision for what Pepsi was at that point in time. She didn't only just set that vision, she aligned the product strategy and the capital and the resources and the R&D, the acquisitions that she made, and the talent behind it to make it real. Speaking of talent, it's a very, very critical component and very close to my heart. We all know that the most brilliant strategy and the most flawless roadmap can still fail. Why? If we fail to inspire the people to walk with us, right? I mean, earlier today we had a discussion in our office and we said, why would a good strategy fail? And they said, because people lack the belief in it. So how do we inspire that? And the most successful leaders have the ability to energize hearts. And at the heart of that is empathy. And Satya Nadella's leadership was shaped by his own life. Raising a child with special needs, he brought that compassion to the boardroom and to Microsoft. And he showed that leadership is not about power, that it's about presence. So it's amazing that 100 years ago, and I would be amiss if I don't make a reference to that, 100 years ago, well before empathy became part of the corporate lexicon, our founder, Dale Carnegie, wrote the book that you remember so well, How to Win Friends and Influence People, a seminal book, a Bible for personal and professional success, right? In that, he talked about his 30 human relations principles. And I'll give you a quick snippet about why this reminds me of him. Principle number 4 speaks of be genuinely interested in other people. Principle number 7 says, be a good listener. Encourage the others to talk about themselves. Principle number 17 says, try to honestly see things from the other person's perspective. And finally, I'll quote the last one, principle number 30, which says make others feel happy about doing what you suggest. Now this, in very simple and powerful language, he's given you he's explained you what and how you can practice empathy. And it's a very critical, it's defined today as a critical leadership skill. And it's defined as, by the World Economic Forum, as the future of work skill. So that's how important this part about managing ambition with empathy, etc., is. And earlier this year, actually, Dale Carnegie conducted a global research in 13 countries on the very topic of empathy. And there was one very uniform and stark observation, that leaders who exceed their goals reported the highest level of empathy in their teams, while the teams that did not achieve their goals reported lower levels of empathy. Now, why am I giving you data? That's my data for a business case for empathy, of course, but why am I giving you this data? Because we live in a world of AI and data where decisions are transformed overnight depending on it, right? And I work in a field where we work with people and people challenges inside organizations, and there are some real struggles going on there, right? There's a lot of digital anxiety. There is, this challenge of actually data-driven decision making, because you need the left brain and the right brain to work together there. There's fear of becoming redundant, being left behind. There is a conflict sometimes with values and ethics when it comes to AI. So there are many things going on out there. But there's a simple thing that we need to remember, and that is that behind every data point is a real person. And as Ashish beautifully writes, use technology to enhance the human touch and not replace it. So in this world of artificial intelligence, it's the emotional intelligence that sets us apart. And that's the leadership style of Satya Nadella. And that's how Ashish inspires us. And that's how true leaders endure. So thank you once again, Ashish, for this wonderful book. And thank you all.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you so much for those powerful insights and perspectives on people and empathy. And I think what beautiful examples that she gave so much resonates with what we deal day in and day out with people, managing people, working with people. Now with this, I would invite the author Ashish Saxena with our dignitaries and panel, Namita Tiwari, Pallavi once again, Raj Raghavan, Rakesh Sethia, Sandeep Das, Swapnalekha Basak, Atul Mathur, and Shruti Saxena to join us on stage for unveiling the growth mandate leadership in an exponential world. Can we have a big applause for all our author, our dignitaries, and the panel, please? Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think we should go. You guys go ahead.
Yes, please.
That's fine. I'll come here. Please. Congratulations, Ashish. Congratulations. Clap for you. signed copy.
Yeah,
For
sign it.
sure, autograph.
You can put it here. Close the hand, I will sign it. Thank you.
It's a big milestone.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and many congratulations, Ashish, for the unveiling of your book. Now, it's a rare privilege to hear an author who speaks from the heart, to understand the experiences and convictions that give life to his or her work. Today, we are honored to have Ashish Saxena share his reflections on his journey and the inspirations behind why the growth mandate matters. So, may I have Ashish on stage now to take us through his thoughts, inspirations, and why he had wrote his book. A big round of applause for Ashish, please. All yours.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Pallavi, for setting such an inspirational foundation of this program. You set the perfect stage for the leadership discussion and the growth. If you look at, first of all, thank you everybody for joining in here. And I know many of you are joining from online, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are joining in from. Really appreciate you coming in here. If you look at it, from a journey perspective, I reflected that from a place, and it's about me. Some of you may know it, some of you may not know it. I was born in a place where there was not even electricity for my first 10 years of a life. And it is in India, while we are in Mumbai, but there are places in India where there was not electricity when I was born for first 10 years. From there to coming to writing a book, leading a billion-dollar business, journey has been amazing. And it has been supported by many. Some of you, my boss is here, some of my team members are here, some of my colleagues are here. So it's an amazing journey. Journey is very surreal, humbling, and thank you for all being part of this. Book captures part of it. So last few months I've been thinking about it. What should be the topic of the book? I contemplated digital transformation. There is AI coming in, but then finally what I led to is the growth, because growth is the encompassing of everything. Whatever you do, finally, whether it's a personal growth or the business growth, that defines us in terms of when Pallavi articulated very nicely about the Satya Nadella and some of the recent developments happening in New York, but there are many other leaders. I've quoted several of them, like Indira Nooyi and Howard Schultz from Starbucks. Many of you have heard about it. Those stories are there. So that led to the foundation of this book, Growth Mandate. Then the challenge comes, what does growth mandate means? It's a mandate, it's not a choice, but what should be the component of it? How does it make it work? Is it a real life? So I try to make this book more of practitioners, leaders who can really take it this tomorrow and start from either one of the chapters and then start thinking about it, what they can do it. So I try to make it more practical oriented. Then the challenge comes in what the framework looks like. So then we debated, I had a couple of my colleagues coming in, we reflected on it, and then finally I came with this 7 levers of the growth. And I'm sure there are many, but I thought these 7 makes it a very integrated journey for the people's growth. And their parallel stream is running about the personal growth and organization growth, because I believe it is intertwined, because if there's no personal growth, organizational growth won't happen, and if there is organizational growth, generally personal growth happens. Like I'm the one of the example is there. I worked with TCS for 20 years. When TCS was $100 million company, and I left, TCS was $18 billion. So I wouldn't have grown if TCS has not grown like that. Or then I joined Wipro, and I joke, whatever company I joined, they become $10 billion for some reason. So Wipro I joined, they were $7 billion, and then they became $10 billion. But the numbers beside, I think you talked about, is growth is not about metrics, it's not about that, it's about creating a sustainable and the growth which should be sustainable, and it should also drive the purpose-driven. And that's where some of the company I worked with it was, of course, the epitome of the purpose, whether it's a Tata Group or Wipro and some of the other companies I've associated with it. So what are those 7 levers? The 7 levers are, you start with vision, then you go with the, creating a growth-centric culture, and some of the, our panelists will talk about it, so I won't, steal that thunder. Then you go to execution, like you talked about. If execution is not there, the vision is just a hallucination. And there's a quote, by the way, in the book. Then you move into the human-centric leadership, because once you've done the vision, you've done the execution, you've got the culture, people makes the difference. And Pallavi, you articulated very nice about the talent. And there I picked up the 5 values. So there is a chapter about leading with the values, and there are some exercises, etc. But the core 5 values I picked up, and luckily empathy is one of them. So I picked up 5 values for the leader, which are the most important. Empathy. I talked about confident humility, because this is the term I liked it, because if you have overconfidence or if you have humility, so this balance of the confident humility makes you a very strong leader. And then I talked about collaboration, because definitely without collaboration, success is not there. Today in the world, we all have to collaborate. Customer centricity, Sapulekha will talk about customer centricity, I'll talk about it. Without customer, we won't exist. And the last one is about resilience. And the word is, we are in a VUCA world, and we are, resilience play out. When there'll be ups and downs in our own personal careers, as well as I had many. But the organizations also go through the journey of the growth. So that's the 7 lever of the growth. I think it makes sense for us to grow that. Then, of course, I want to thank so many people. This book is not a journey of my own, while I know I'm getting credit and I'm hearing, putting my author's name. But there has been a journey of, many colleagues who has worked with me, my leaders, my mentors, who has believed in me when I was not ready to take up a leadership role, but they gave me. And then similarly, I try to do with my team. So belief I'm talking about belief as one of the leaders. I'm sure some of you have watched the Ted Lasso show, if I don't know, but Ted Lasso is all about belief. So there's a lot of mention about Ted Lasso in the context of the belief. So I want to thank you, first of all, the Joe Hart. He's not here, but Pallavi, I know you're representing him. Joe Hart is the CEO of Dell Carnegie. When I discussed with book him, and then he said, oh, this is a fantastic book. And I said, Joe, can you write a foreword for this? And it was a very humbling experience when he said, yes, I will write it. So Joe, thank you. I know you are listening somewhere. I know you're in Brazil this afternoon, but I'm sure my message reaches to you. So, and Pallavi, pass on my thank you to Joe personally, because it's been a very, very nice experience knowing him as a leader. And he's truly embodies the empathy and humility as a leader. Then I want to thank my, publishing team. Some of them are here, because without them, this wouldn't have seen into the light, because I'm generally sometimes gets very perfectionist, and I have to, look at the comma and full stop, and every story has to come out nicely, and they have lived through me for last 12 months. So finally it sees the light. So thank you, publishing team there. My colleagues, I think there a lot of stories are part of their journey, which is captured in the book. And of course, my family, Shruti, my wife is here. She's the one, she's almost played a role of the second editor, because before I go to my editor, I was really worried, is she going to be thinking about I'm too critique to that. So I asked Shruti to review it first before it reaches to the editor there. And she really, helped me all the time to look at the, content. She critiqued it sometimes. She also appreciated sometimes which I've written there. So thank you. You've been part of the journey. And the last but not the least is all of you here, and then the people who are joining virtually. This book is all dedicated to you, your support, your experiences. Hopefully you like it. So let's learn it together. Let's grow. Let's follow the growth mandate, because as Pallavi said, as I have said, growth is not a choice, it is mandate. And if you all grow collectively as a team, as an individual leader or as an organization, I think we'll be a better leader, our organization will be better. So thank you all for joining in. It's wonderful to have you here, and look forward for the journey from here on. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for quickly taking us through this journey, what inspired you, what is there in store for us to go through and read and assimilate. Moving on, next we have a very interesting panel discussion for you on the book, The Growth Mandate, Leading Growth in an Exponential World, translating the 7 levers of growth into action. In today's rapidly changing environment, growth is no longer a steady climb, it's exponential. Our esteemed panel will share some real life insights and perspectives on what it takes to lead growth in this dynamic era, aligning people, performances, and purpose to create lasting value. So without further ado, let's welcome our panelists as they delve into this growth mandate and what it truly means to lead growth in an exponential world. So first up, we have Mr. Atul Mathur, Executive Vice President, HR and Head Learning and Development at ABC. an accomplished HR leader with extensive experience across multiple industries like telecom, media, BFSI, BPO, and a proven track record of leading large-scale strategic HR and lending initiatives. A forward-thinking leader passionate about leveraging digital solutions to shape the future of HR and drive business growth. Atul will be moderating this panel with us with his vast experience in leadership and, of course, his witty remarks which will come in between. So, Atul, may I have you on stage, please? So, moving on from the moderator, and now in no particular order, may I call upon Ms. Namita Patwari, Chief Human Resources Officer, Alembic Pharmaceuticals. With over 2 decades of experience, Namita, a respected thought leader and a champion of employee well-being, diversity, and work-life balance. She leads Alembic Pharmaceuticals' people and customer experience strategy, aligning its 180 years legacy with a future-ready vision. So, a big round of applause for Namita, please. Next up, Mr. Raj Raghavan, Chief People and Culture Officer, Core Stack. Raj Raghavan comes with over 3 decades of experience, leads global HR at Costech, a Seattle-based cloud technology company specializing in cloud governance, security, and optimization. He has led senior HR roles at Indigo, Amazon, and GE, among others. He also serves as an independent director at Healthcore Global Enterprises Limited and is an active angel investor as well. Big round of applause and welcome, Raj. Next up, we have Mr. Sandeep Das, Senior Vice President HR, Kotak Mahindra Bank. So Sandeep Das, a strong advocate of DEI, leads domain training and academies at Kotak Mahindra Bank, driving learning, innovation, and cultural transformation across the organization. With over 2 decades of experience across BFSI, petroleum, retail, and real estate, he is pioneer in integrating generative AI into learning and development. Welcome, Sandeep, on the stage. Next up, we have Dr. Rakesh Sethia, President Sales and Marketing, Rustomjee Group. A big round of applause for Mr. Sethia, please. So he's a transformative leader with over 30 years of experience in sales and marketing, strategy, and P&L across brands like Kotak, Reebok, and Idea Cellular. He is known for his strategic mindset, analytical approach, and team building excellence. Since 2019, as President Sales and Marketing in Rustomjee, he has driven key transformation initiatives for building a future-ready organization. Welcome, Dr. Sethia, once again. Next up, Dr. Swapnalekha Basak, Managing Director, Sthir India. She is a multidisciplinary professional, leadership coach, award-winning author, and podcaster with 30 years of experience in building and leading both non-profit and for-profit social enterprises. She has served as country head HR at SAS India and founded Computer Shiksha, Sthir, Bodhistri, and driving digital inclusion, workplace well-being, and women-led development. So welcome, Doctor. A big round of applause for all the panelists that we have on stage, and of course, how to forget our author, Mr. Ashish Saxena, please, on stage. And over to you, Atul, for the moderation of the panels.
Thank you, Bhiru, and a very good evening to all the guests and all the panelists present today. I hope the last person can see me when I'm asking the question. Okay. And frankly, after Pallavi's introductory speech, I don't think we need the panel because she spoke about it with so much of passion, but still I'll try to do some work in terms of, eliciting responses from our esteemed jury today. So in a world where technology doubles overnight, customer expectation triples by lunchtime, and our to-do list, it just regenerates, right? Growth is no longer a KPI. It's actually a ticket to, survival, or rather it is survival. And I think that's what growth mandate talks about. In L&D, we often joke that, leaders don't resist change. They just want everyone to go there first. However, the growth mandate flips the script and actually looks at the 7 levers, right, which add velocity to the vision and make leaders more effective. So without much ado, I'll first ask a question, and it is open to all the panelists here with me, that to you personally, what does growth mandate mean? What does it stand for? And which of the 7 levers, resonate with you the most? So maybe I'll start with Namita.
Thank you, Atul, and thank you, Ashish, for inviting me.
And I'm thoroughly impressed with Pallavi's speech, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to do justice to what this Gyani people around me are talking, but I'll try my best. To me, growth is way of life in corporate. There is nothing that exists without the growth. So the mindset, when we talk about mindset, does change. Growth does not change. There is no room or margin of error, at least to me, that the way I operate in the very competitive market in pharmaceutical especially. The growth is part of our life. And every day, as my dear friend Atul said rightly, that the customer expectation triples. Our customers are doctors, and their expectations are never ending. So in environment like this, and you have talent who cater to them, we have to be extremely mindful. And to me, the growth stands with the humility and the confidence, the balance between the two, very rightly put up in the book by Ashish. I think that is something, the growth meshing with this and ensuring that our people are absorbing the right type of growth mindset and then eliminating towards the progress. I think that really, that's what I believe in.
Raj, maybe you can give your views.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Atul, and well said, Namita. Congratulations again, Ashish. 12 months is, I know how much of effort and days and weeks you must have been at it, and it's always nice to see this come out. And Pallavi, that was very, very nice listening to you. You had lots of great perspectives, including giving examples, etc. To me, I liked the chapter 9 of the book that talks about customer centricity. I'd spent 8 years at Amazon, and one thing that we did extremely well, among other things, was if you were to ask any Amazonian, what is Amazon all about? They will not say it's AWS or Kindle or devices. They'll say it's about customer obsession. And what we kept telling, and these are engineers, right? I mean, you can't just give them gyan. And it had to be codified. And so there were real examples of how you obsess over customers. And Jeff used to say, it's not customer satisfaction, but it's obsessing over customers. And how do you go tell this to an IIT Delhi engineer who comes in straight and says, oh, go obsess over customer? And he'll say, I mean, yeah, all this gyan I've heard, but you tell me how to do it. And they started saying, the thing was, everybody has a good intention, right? And when it comes to customers, everybody has a good intention. No one has a bad intention. And so Jeff asked, if good intentions are not good enough, then what is good enough, right? Because, everyone has it. And then he said, we needed mechanisms to it. And as I was reading through this, what this basically meant was, if I'm a frontline executive, trying to be manning the customer desk, and if there is a call coming in, can I make a call? I mean, I still remember Amit Agarwal, who was the India country leader, and we used to do this program called Customer Connections. And you had to be certified every year. It was a 2-day program. And one of that was you sit on the phone, take customer calls and resolve them. So you had to be as good as anybody else. And one of the calls was coming in, and we were sitting next to an agent, and she said, Amit, this is a customer return. And we had not even spoken to the customer. And they asked me, how do you know it? And she said, no, this is the 4th call I'm getting today on the same product. And as it so happened that there was a certain packing issue, and then as a result, so customer returns in a e-commerce industry is very expensive, right? So then we asked her, so how will you solve it? And she said, you're the CEO, you're the CHRO, you guys go figure out, why are you asking me? But what finally she said is, stop selling this product now, fix it and then sell it. And that's what it is. And they said, let's do that. And they just disabled the buy box. So, and I think there are lots of other things in the book, Ashish, and I think I really liked the one on customer.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. In fact, Amazon's customer obsession is very well known. And the books that I have read about Amazon and Jeff Bezos, I think it's not just, L&D programs or workshops and all. It's actually part of the culture. So thanks, Raj. Dr. Sandeep Das, what are your views on the growth mandate and which lever resonates the most with you?
Sure. Thank you, Atul, for inviting, and congratulations, Ashish, for the book launch. Um, I've always been saying that the sign of life is growth. Anything that doesn't grow is dead. So, so for me, growth mandate is life. Okay, and growth necessarily doesn't mean professional growth. Growth means all aspects of life. It could be a spiritual growth, it could be a psychological growth, it could be in any sense. But humans have to grow, and that's how I resonate well with the human centricity approach, which is a part of the book. Out of the 7 principles, one is human centric approach, where we talk about empathy. And that's very critical, more so in current times when the overall concept of human is being challenged by artificial intelligence, and a lot of conversation around what would happen to humans. Will AI take over? Will there be a Star Wars scenario which we would have watched in a movie? Will it take shape in front of our eyes in reality? And I believe by being more human, we can beat all kind of machines. So no machine can be powerful than the collective wisdom of all humans and the collective humanity of humans. So we need to practice more human centricity, more empathy, and observe each other, and do not compete with machines, rather than compete to be a better human being. That's my 2 bits. Thank you.
Absolutely. In fact, what they say is that digital is not just about technology, it's about mindset, it's about people. And so very well said, Sandeep. Dr. Rakesh Sethia, what are your views?
Hi. Okay. So congratulations, Ashish, and thank you, Atul, and hi, everyone. See, for me, growth, one that, of course, it is the basic nature of human beings. And we all feel that without growth, there's no life. But why growth? So I would say 2 aspects. People ambitions are growing. Nobody wants to have the same quality of life next year what you have. So the responsibilities are growing, the personal ambitions are growing, the expenses are growing. So people want to grow in terms of what they are earning, and secondly, the quality of life that they are leading. Now, why should organizations look at growth? Because if you look at the cost component of an organization, the costs are growing every year. So you've got inflation, so your input costs are rising, your people costs are rising, and then you got a depreciation which is hitting you every year. So if you look at the total cost composition, if you don't grow, if you continue the same turnover next year, your profitability will definitely come down by 15 to 20%. And that would really mean that your return to shareholders will go down. You will not be able to enjoy equity. You will not be able to, raise funds. You will not be able to fund growth. So it is required. It is the basic nature of business that human beings, professionals, individuals want to grow. And together with that, the organization's costs, structures are such that, without growing, they cannot actually function and survive. This is point 1. Secondly, Ashish, last night I was reading the synopsis which you'd sent. And, when I looked at 7 levers, actually, they felt so much of my own, is that I could relate so much to them, is that, I think within a minute I felt, wow, this is the right kind of sequence. You set a vision, you create the right kind of culture, you create the execution centricity in the organization. So 3 things. And then you look at the 2 major aspects of business. One is the leaders who are leading the business or driving the business. And second are the customers who are driving the business, who are going to be, the benefited by that. And then you take technology as an enablement, and you do everything better, you do everything with a scale, and you become, you take advantage what technology brings you. And last but not the least, what is in life without creating legacy, right? You develop leaders, you develop legacy. And I think, it dovetails everything, it synchronizes everything so beautifully. And if I have to pick up, one lever, I would say, though all are highly compelling, but I would like to pick up 2, because this is what I see. One is, building legacy, building leaders, building legacy is very important. But the other levers cannot happen unless and until you've got the right kind of culture in the organization. So for me, second number and the seventh number, these two are the most important things for me. Have the right kind of culture in the organization. And culture is actually, you can't mandate it. You live it year by year. And I have seen that, while working with Atul in another organization over a long period of time, how do you build a culture which actually talks about the 5 values? And the values that we lived day in, day out were, integrity, commitment, passion, speed, and seamlessness. Right, so these are the values which over a period of time have become my personal values. And wherever I go, I carry these values as a part of me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant answer. And Ashish, congratulations to you, whether it's a business leader or a HR leader, because we have a very good panel today. Everybody is resonating with what you've written. And talking of business leaders, let me come to Swapna Basak. Swapna, what are your views on the growth mandate and which lever do you resonate with?
So I'll take a little step back and see where are we in the world today. Because the world is a function of what its leaders have made it out to be. And I think all leaders carry the responsibility on their shoulders, each of us also, in whichever ecosystem we are leading. Today, the earth is consuming 1.5 times of what it can offer in a year. There's a severe ecological crisis. They say 8 individuals in the world own half the wealth of the world. There's severe social inequity. Today, more people are dying of suicide than of starvation. This is the world that we are sitting in, and all leaders are responsible for having delivered this really sad situation that we are in. So in that, keeping that in perspective, what would growth mean to me? And as Pallavi very rightly pointed out, you said that it's not numbers, it's not sales, it's not market capitalization. Because at the end of it, we hear largely Ashish is talking about the profit-making corporate world. We're all here for profit, yes. But have we really delivered right? Clearly no. So what is the framework that we're looking at? And having heard Ashish on a podcast, a long one, I know he comes from the hinterlands of India, and all of what we see inside this book is actually Indian values packed in. For example, he speaks about customer centricity. Now, Gandhiji, when he said, you find it in small shops written that a customer is not an interference. He is there because you are there because he's coming. So he's the annadata for you. So that's the kind of reverence you have to have for customers. So customer centricity is, again, very inimitable in the values that we carry as Indians. So if you look at our backyard, every business, even our businessmen have forgotten, we say Shubh Labh. Labh is there, but the Labh has to be Shubh. What does Shubh mean? Shubh means auspicious. Auspicious means what? Good for everyone. So we're talking about CSR, ESG, but if we in spirit remember that every business needs to deliver in a way that it's good for everyone. If we carry that spirit as leaders, I think everything will change over there. So the question here is, and most of you talked about large businesses, let me step away and talk about 2 smaller ones which I'm a part of. You must have heard about Arvind Eye Care, have you? Has anybody heard here about Arvind Eye Care? Let me just take a minute to tell you about it. Arvind Eye Care was started by Dr. V. After retirement, a man crippled, but head of orthopedics department in the Madurai University. And he started an enterprise, a profit-making social enterprise, to say that I'll remove all unnecessary, avoidable blindness in the country. It's been so many years now. I think it's more than 25 years that the company has existed. It's a profit-making company. It does free cataract surgeries for all poor people. Our president, APJ Kalam, got his surgery done there. Its standards of hygiene are better than John Hopkins. Its method of surgery in an assembly line was borrowed from the McDonald's method of drive-way delivery. And it's a company which makes money. So we have possible case studies in this country which deliver value and money. And I think it's very important to highlight and talk about these companies because that's the value which will keep the world together. And therefore, I think leadership today has to, as you said in the growth mandate, look at things in a very different manner from what it is looking at right now. Take, for example, this entire AI thing. So Sthir every week publishes a workplace well-being bulletin. Many of you would probably know about it. So when the research team goes onto the Reuters website, the only thing that we read is, jobs are going away, jobs are going away, jobs are going away. Is that the right narrative for AI and technology today? Is that the right narrative? It clearly is not. Pardon me for mentioning this, but Amazon. A week back, there was a news which leaked in Amazon which said that they're going to lay off people. What came the reply from Amazon Corporate Communications? A long write-up about how they are going to upgrade all their people. Isn't the order just what it should not have been? Once there was this threat that there will be a public outrage about people losing their jobs, the company quickly scampers together and says that we will retrain our people. What does the growth mandate require to do? You know that AI has come in. You know that technology efficiencies will go up. You need people with a new set of skills. Leadership is about taking the plunge and saying that we'll do something equal to even taking pay cuts at the CEO level to say we'll keep people, but we'll train them. Because people earning their livelihoods is also the responsibility of the leader. So I think that this is something which should guide all leadership decisions in the world, is what I think. And therefore, from the book and all the pillars which Ashish has so beautifully written about, the one which I resonate the most with is actually execution. Because the proof of the pudding lies in actually eating it. I lead 2 enterprises. And I know how difficult it is to stay correct, to stay right, to do the right thing. And that makes my life every day very interesting and challenging because every day I have to do something new. And it helps me discover something probably a little better in myself. And what is life but realizing the best that you can do? So I think execution keeps me always on my toes, and therefore I like it the most. I know that it's a departure from what all of you said, but I just wanted to put it there.
I think very beautifully put, Swapna, and I really love the way you spoke about Shubh Labh. I mean, the perspective that you gave is really wonderful. Just one point I would like to make on the point that you made about jobs going away. And of course, we keep reading about it that so-and-so companies, deploying bots and, I will just take people back to the time when information technology hit us for the first time. Yeah, that time also, there were a lot of jobs which became redundant. But what we find now is that there are far more opportunities and far more jobs that people are into. And I completely resonate with you, Swapna, when you say that leadership needs to be proactive in terms of, redeploying the people and, recalibrating the competencies and working with them. So I think, very well said. So Ashish, I think you already spoke about your book and you have written the book. So I don't need to ask you whether you resonate with it or not, right? So I think maybe I'll skip you if you don't mind. You are the author and therefore, and you're hosting the whole piece and you're paying the bill as well. I'll come to you a little later, right? But let me come back to Dr. Rakesh Seth here. And Rakesh, talking about the first lever, which is lead with vision, right? Ashish begins the book with a strong assertion that growth is a mandate, not a choice. And I think that's what the panelists have also spoken about. So in your view, how do leaders, and how have you done it actually, cultivate visionary thinking in organizations where stability is often valued more than disruption? And we live in a volatile VUCA world, and now I think we have Bani also. That's another way for HR people to make money, coming up with new acronyms. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. See, vision actually can be a very heavy word, right? I mean, so you need to be visionary to have the vision about how the future is going to be, how it is going to turn out. However, I would say that, if we just look at it, in a day-to-day manner, in a little basic manner, and don't just make a huge, weight around this. Don't just put that. I think how do you build the vision for the organization is basically understanding all the aspects of business and understanding where is it going, and also understanding the consumer aspiration, team aspiration, the changes happening in the macroeconomic environment, and then what is the solution that you are offering to your customers. So when the business leaders start to have the holistic perspective about the business and not just on the business side, on the profitability side, so you got a product, you got a solution, you've got something for the consumers in this, and you are trying to solve a problem. But then what is the problem? Whose problem is that? What is it that you are trying to solve? And what should be the best and the most cost-effective way to solve that problem? How do you create a solution where there are people, who got their problem and who are willing to pay for that? So the moment you understand all these things and get a view, a broader view, take a step back, have the larger view around it, and then just try to put everything in order. And then also think about, how the technology is going to enable that, how the data analytics could enable that, and how, various people who are involved in the entire value chain could probably be able to do that. I think doing all that can give you, a beautiful idea about what you want to create in the immediate future, maybe 3 to 5 years down the line, and then, how should it be between 5 to 10 years of the time. I think that is how, for me, it has worked. Even in the current organization also, this is how, it is working for me.
Absolutely, and we see Rustamji, growing by leaps and bounds. And I know ever since you have taken over, the profits have really grown, and of course, a lot goes into that. I'll also link it to what you said. Even if you look at Stephen Covey, he talks about the bigger picture. But then also, what's important is that every individual's role in that, and I think that's what leaders talk about, and I think that's what you're also doing. So, talking of that, let me come to you, Raj. For lever 2 of Ashish's book, which is build a growth-centric culture, right? So you've seen the impact of growth culture in your roles at GE, Amazon, and now at CoreStack. And so Swapna, he's with CoreStack now, not with Amazon. Yeah. No, I thought I'll clarify. Okay, so good that you joined CoreStack at the right time. Of course, as the HR head, right? So how do you build and preserve growth-centric culture through rapid growth and volatile environment?
Yeah, firstly, I don't apologize for being at Amazon. I think it continues to be a terrific company. I think it's about what are you looking for. I think my family is a lot more important to me than the company I work for. And as a result, I need to be really committed to what I want to do for myself and my family. Of course, it's very sad to have people lose their jobs. At the end of the day, you're in a profit organization, right? And the one thing is, Atul, as you rightly said, and the people that are losing their jobs are having so many calls made to them. In fact, I'm trying to hire a few people, and these guys still have time till December, but they're saying, I'll talk to you along with a few others I'm talking with. So I think it's about how do you keep pace with what is happening. But coming back to the core question, right? It's very interesting. This whole growth thing, so what leads to growth, right? If you ask the question, and then we can go about growth mandates. A lot of things lead to growth. A great product, good customer adoption, profitability, increase, and all of that. Now, look at the history of lots of organizations. Does growth continue to happen all the time? I mean, it does not. And more often than not, growth creates complexity, right? And complexity stops growth. So it's a vicious cycle, right? You see growth happening at one point in time, and then complexity creeps in, and growth slows down, and everybody is now trying to fix something, fix the product, fix the user interface, custom interfaces, better policies, and all that. But as you talk about, Ashish, and you talked about it also, Pallavi. You said talent. In my mind, complexity does not happen with anything else other than the people, right? How are you organized? Now, some of the job losses also happen because there's mindless hiring. Now, you can feel sorry about it, certainly, but complexity happens because of, lesser layer, more layers and lesser span. Like, for example, at Indigo, one of the things we realized was if I'm a customer-facing agent standing at the airport, now, you all have a view on Indigo, and but they're a very, very efficient company, I can tell you that. So you go to a customer, an agent, and you say that, I missed my flight. What do I do next? And she'll tell you, pay 10,000 rupees and take a new flight. Or like Jet Airways would do, don't worry, I'll put you on the next flight. Just that Jet Airways bombed. Indigo is surviving, so the jury is still out. The thing is, where does complexity arise, right? It arises when I have more and more layers, and I need to go seek permission from more and more layers. And by the time I seek permission, the reality of customer service or customer obsession is gone. And that's what I think Amazon fixed really well. So the thing about growth is, when can you understand there is complexity happening? Where do you know complexity is happening, and how do you kill it? If you don't do that, growth will fail, and you'll not even know. This is like a frog in warm water, right? It's initially really nice, and then you become soup, right? So I don't know how many people eat dog soup, but the frog dies. So.
No, very well said. In fact, if you look at the list of Fortune 500 or in Fortune 100 companies, how many of them survive a century? And, so they may have grown, but you're absolutely right, bang on, Raj, that growth creates complexity. And I think that's where the role of leadership comes in, right? And that's what the other panelists, when they were talking about that, not just technology, it's the human factor which becomes important. So, talking of that, let me come to the third lever, Sandeep, right, which is drive strategic execution, right? So the book talks about strategy and disciplined execution are two sides of the same coin. What do leaders do to align execution to drive strategic scalability? And what enables disciplined execution without slowing innovation? And since you work extensively on the technology side in the companies that I know that you work for, so your views would be really interesting to hear.
Sure, thanks, Atul. If we talk about execution, there is only one thing that matters in execution, that's called discipline. If you look at this bookshop, Tidal Waves, they have to open the shutter every day. So you'll have to constantly do the same thing again and again for years. And the rigor in execution actually makes company thrive. If I talk about some of the latest companies which are now rising, if you talk about NVIDIA, or if you talk about all the companies held by Elon Musk, they are bright examples of rigor in execution to an extent that the execution excellence has been taken to the next level. For example, a potential partnership between NVIDIA and Tesla, where they were building a supercomputer. They kind of, within a week's time, they built a supercomputer cluster, which would have otherwise taken years. And NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, and he also said that we never thought that we will be able to achieve that. It's Elon Musk who came and said, this is a plan, and this is how we are going to do it. And they were able to achieve something in flat 7 days' time. So today what we usually, if we talk about our strategy and execution, two different sides of a coin, I would say they both are, they should not be looked at two opposing poles. Both are equally important, because in the name of execution, you can't just lose sight of the strategy, because any execution without strategy doesn't get any kind of growth. It only gives you negative growth. So there has to be a clear balance between strategy and execution. And in my roles, what I have usually seen is that when we go for the big picture, we should not lose sight of what's happening at the ground level. So having a hand pulse check on the real execution, people who do execution is as important as the people who do the thinking. And if we talk about, Atul spoke about technology. Technology is a distractor if you use it for distraction, but technology also is a great execution enabler if we use it the right way. So today somebody called me and said, I want to ensure that how do I track progress of my team members? And Atul used to call me, Sandeep, you are agent of Microsoft. Okay, so I continue to be the agent of technology. So today I taught somebody how do you track your project using a planner, and there is a new feature called loop. Okay, and the person was, oh, this is so simple, which means I can create entire strategy and execution in the same block, assign tasks, and then everything happens on its own. So we need to, of course, use the most contemporary technologies available, and it's actually enabling us to be much sharper in terms of our execution. But the one thing that really matters is the discipline. Getting up, getting ready, showing up, and taking up the shutter years after years. That's what execution means.
Thank you. And in fact, talking of Elon Musk, I think that's a classic example of innovation along with execution. I mean, the and the different fields that he's been into, where he's leveraged technology. And of course, Sandeep and I had worked in a company during COVID, and that's where I used to call him my agent of Microsoft. But good to see that in his roles in different organizations and leadership roles, the human-centric thing is equally enhanced, if not more. So, but thanks for the response, Sandeep. So, coming to you, Namita, which is for lever 4, right? Be a human-centric leader, right? The growth mandate, empathy, confident humility, resilience, customer centricity, and collaboration appear as core leadership muscles. How do you balance these with the need for high performance and accountability? And now that you're leading the HR function of a very big pharma company, how do you manage it?
I am thoroughly impressed with whatever has been said until now, especially when I was reading the book and vis-a-vis the way interpretation that has come. It does give me a lot of confidence in terms of this is just not a book. Now it's going to become a Bible for me to use it in my everyday HR work. So thank you for that. Coming back to the question that Atul has asked, when we talk about human first, right? And I would take you back in era where the leadership was more to do with parenting leadership. We started from there, and now we have come to a subordinate. We don't call them our team members. We call them our subordinates. We call them our colleagues. So how we have evolved over a period of time. And that is to do with how we understand each other as human beings. I think that is the core to everything that we do. Whether it is in the different roles that I've lived through in my 22 years of corporate experience, whether it was in financial services or in logistics space or now in pharmaceutical, I think ultimately we are human beings, whether we perform X task or Y task, and very beautifully put in the book as well, that if we are not able to understand the other person, then the growth will remain just as, one such facet that we want to address into. But when we start understanding the need of the other person, when we start catering to what the other person wants, and then we start, communicating in the right fashion and making sure that the right message is going through, and that is leading to the performance, and that is leading to the idea of growing. It starts with the first idea and then becomes a mandated growth for organizations, whether it is a commercial or a non-commercial body that we are all involved in. It is ultimately the human-centric approach in do whatever we do, whether it is our meetings that we address into a job that is going upliftment, reskilling, upskilling, evaluation, career development, or anything. It's the core to HR activities that I personally do is leading with empathy and leading with that balanced approach. We have more than 7,700 field forces across India. They come with different sets of cultural mindset, and there is a singular way that we continue to grow with them, and that way is called respect and result. We respect them for the efforts they put in every single day. We respect their full human approach that they bring into the work every single day. And we ensure that they are delivering the results that we want. We cannot say that result is your baby and you have to do it. It is we together doing it, and that's the human-centric approach that we practice every single day. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I think it becomes more important considering the fact that today organizations are multi-generational, right? And what you rightly said, Namita, that understanding, because empathy could very easily, degenerate into sympathy. If you don't understand what people want, and let's say a Gen Z vis-a-vis a baby boomer, right? Even the definition of respect could be different. So I think that becomes very, very important. I just got a message, Ashish, that you are paying the bill for today's event here, and you're feeling a little left out. So let me just come back to you. You've written the book, but I think I'll have to ask you a question, okay? So on the fifth lever, which is champion customer centricity, Ashish, customer centricity is a recurring theme in your book, right? From your perspective, what are practical ways to bring the customer's voice into leadership discussions?
Thank you. Atul, you have been very nice to me. So before I go to the question, I think I just want to touch upon one element which I think some of the panelists spoke about it, but I feel very close. And Atul, you touched probably a last sentence about, we are seeing a generational shift because we are coming, and we as a leader, baby boomer, and the Gen Zs are coming, and the expectation of the leadership is also changing. And that's part of the growth leadership we all have to look at from the learning perspective. So the two concepts I'm talking, and I think you will resonate, is one is called reverse mentoring. I think many of you have talked about it, and it's getting executed. But something I have really applied in my own organization. So being a reverse mentoring, and I've intentionally kept one person out of my thank you because I wanted to say from here is my son, because actually he's reverse mentoring me every day. And now because of the, he's of course 24 years old now, so he calls me every day and he says, this is something you should do or not do. So thank you. I have missed many of his events. I have moved, I know many of you might know, and Ajay is here. Since my birth, today where I'm living is actually my 30th home. And I won't tell my age, but still, its average comes to be less than 1.5 years. And he has moved around with me for every places. So, thank you. It's not easy for move around. Some of us have lived in one places for many time. And we have moved around so much. So Achintya has played a significant role where I am today. So thank you. He's watching from New York, doing a private equity job. So it's a very intense job for him, but he found 2 hours to listen to this program. So coming because that was intentionally left for this question. But coming to customer centricity, many of you talked about. Some of Tushar is here who has worked with me, and I used to joke with him. I said, Tushar, your role is a client partner. And we didn't call you TCS partner or Wipro partner. Because the reason we called you client partner means you have to bring client's voice to the TCS meeting or wherever you are there. So that's the definition of it, and he has seen it many times. So bringing the voice of the customer to the organization, listening to them, now of course in the IT world, but now with the social media, the listening, sentiment analysis, and many other things has becoming a big important part. But I will come back to the Namita's point about having empathy with the customer. In the book, you will see a quote I call customers are humans too. If you deal customers as a human and not as a revenue generating entity, I think you will be all right. So I think that's my key takeaway. Treat customers as human, you will be all right. Your revenue growth will come automatically. Treat them really with that. So Atul, hopefully I did justify my answer given me last.
No, you're not last. No. I think that's already settled. Don't worry. Let's not make it very complex, Raj. Right? Okay. No, but talking of son, I've got 2 sons, And I think they've been reverse mentoring me ever since they were 6 years old, right? So I can fully empathize with you, what you're saying. And in fact, a lot of times they tell me that, Dad, this is not how it works. Yeah. So okay. So coming to you, Swapna, since you spoke about technology and impact of technology, so let me ask you about the sixth lever, which is harness digital intelligence, right? So technology and AI are transforming how we lead, right? And you spoke about it just a short while back. How do you visualize this digital transformation that it doesn't dilute the human touch?
So, Atul, I've been a part of this whole digital intelligence, if I may say. I was in SAS in 2006. And business intelligence was unheard at that time. So I remember the time when business intelligence came to India, but corporations were not ready with data at that time. So I've seen it from there, and I've had a...
I think they still are not.
Yeah, in many areas, AI will make it easier now because qualitative research becomes easy. So I've seen it since then. And I just wanted to say two things which I've always borne in mind. See, Peter Drucker said that anything which is measured improves. We all know that. And that's what analytics does for us, right? It tells us. But Edward Deming said something which is, I've never forgotten, that the most important things can't be measured. And I think that's where the wisdom lies. And that's what Ashish has written, and I so resonate 100% with it, that analytics is important, technology is an enabler, but there is no replacement for the gut instinct, which even Malcolm Gladwell spoke of in Blink. The question here is, how does a leader, or how do leaders develop that instinct? And much as everybody spoke about empathy, I'll just take a step back and say what builds empathy is actually listening. And I think that's where I work with workplaces, I see. There's dearth of listening. So listening to what? So I say listening to just not individuals, to groups, listening to the voice which is not saying, listening to the economy, listening to world politics, listening to the entire ecosystem within which your business is housed is actually what will make the leader truly empathetic. And then let me again take another step back to say, what does a leader then do to be empathetic? And I think in order to find that silence in the noise which is all around, a leader needs to be really centered well within herself. That's very, very important, because if I'm not quiet inside, I will not be able to make any sense of the clutter outside. So I think the time today is actually leaders to work on themselves and their own minds to have such clarity that they're able to make sense of this seemingly chaotic world all around. And that's only when we'll be able to leverage this boon which AI is and make something of it which makes the world happier and better tomorrow. See, it's doing things which are probably repetitive, things which people wouldn't want to do because it doesn't give meaning to their lives. So why don't we adopt technology in a way such that these things are relegated to technology and we leave humans with things which are much more meaningful to do? And to do that, we really need what is called a growth mindset, a reactive mindset. Things saying that after all, a company has to exist and make profit is not growth mindset. A growth mindset keeps profit and people as an and statement and not an or statement. We have to make profits and we have to do it along with people. And until and unless we believe in that, it's not going to happen. So I love the fact that this book has got 4 to 5 chapters just talk about things which actually make that happen. You spoke about generations. 4 generations today. The olders are cribbing about Gen Zs. Gen Zs are cribbing about the olders. Where is the dialogue? We have to facilitate dialogues, help people listen to one another. Then only can we solve this crisis. So I think there's a lot of listening which is required to be done. And for that, leaders need to first listen to the voice inside. That will enable them to listen to the world outside then. That's what my submission would be.
No, thank you. Thank you. I think that's a very good thing. And I think what's coming out again and again is the aspect of understanding, listening, empathy. So whether it is customer centricity or it is, harnessing the digital intelligence. In a lighter vein, they say that, data is the new oil. Don't slip on it. No pun intended, right? Okay, so in the interest of time, let me for the seventh lever, instead of asking everybody, because I know that it's getting a little late, so maybe any one or two panelists who would like to volunteer to answer for this. But the seventh lever is build leaders, leave legacy. And I think, Rakesh, you spoke about it in the beginning, right? So mentoring and developing others is an important theme in the growth mandate. Anybody can answer it, that how do leaders around you do that, and how are companies, looking at it? So anybody can speak about it.
Okay, so I'll start, and I would like to take cue from what you said, is the ability to listen, ability to be compassionate towards the fellow workers, fellow team members, and ensuring that in the process we are developing relationship and we are developing appreciation for each other. Now that's just one aspect of it. I think overall, when you have to develop the legacy, you are looking at a continuous organization which continues, like you said, how many 100 organizations have been there for 100 years, right? Yeah, Fortune 100 organizations have been there for 100 years. So how do you build that legacy? So it is that, it has to be the part of organizational DNA, the part of organizational development process, the L&D process, where you listen to your co-workers and you are trying to bring a continuity in the way the business is carried forward and the legacy is built, the people practices, the values in the organization. How is that built? It has to be done at a continuum. And when you are looking at building legacy and building, for that matter, succession plans, it is not just about the succession for the top leaders. It is part of the organization. It is part of the total organizational hierarchy, and it has to be done for the middle managerial levels also. So I think listening to each other, having the right kind of values, right kind of business vision, and the practices is something which has to be deeply ingrained in the organization.
You said that succession has to be at all levels, not just the senior level. So basically, all organizations look at critical roles in the company, which could be at any level in the organization. Exactly. So I think that's an important part. Yeah. Anybody else would like to respond to this? Raj or Swapna? Yeah.
I think somebody said something very wise. I think you said that when businesses become complex, when they become large, they become complex. And when they become complex, they stop growing. And I think that's where the leadership challenge of legacy lies. How do you actually crack that so that you continue to grow, but at the same time also stay there? And I think for that, my personal thing is having structured conversations around levers of building businesses in a structured manner is what will make levels, what should I say, leaders at every level grow into the next step. I see a lack of, again, conversation, and somebody used that word, that implementing a system of having structured conversations at all levels will ensure that organizations are able to grow up and beat this challenge of actually it becoming such a complex animal that it stops growing then.
Absolutely. I mean, communication is something which is very, very essential. And I think the larger or the more complex an organization becomes, I think it's more imperative that there are, and it's not just town halls as some of the companies do, right? Which a lot of times becomes only a tick in the box, but also that interaction, understanding what people want. And that's what I think Namita and others have also spoken about. So I think thank you so much. Some of the key things which I have noted down during this, discussion that, of course, growth mandate has to be a way of life, obsessing over customers, right, which is something which is very, very critical. I mean, the Amazon example which was given, what Sandeep spoke about, that growth it's a sign of life. The fact that we are alive, means that there has to be growth. Again, holistic perspective, I think very, very critical, that people need to understand the bigger picture, look at it from a holistic perspective, and then look at it that, from an execution point of view, that what is my role in that. Of course, Raj spoke about growth creates complexity. He did refer to some other complexity also. But yeah, which is very correct. And thank you, Swapna, for your response that you just gave us. Also, a very important point that was brought up was that don't lose sight of the ground level, which means that when you are actually creating your strategies and looking at what you have to do from a growth perspective, don't lose sight of what's happening at the ground level. And I think that's what everybody spoke about in terms of listening, understanding, empathy, and the multi-generational workforce which is there. So thank you, everyone. Tonight's conversation showed that growth isn't just a destination, it's a discipline and journey. I hope our audience over here also enjoyed the panel discussion as much as, at least I enjoyed moderating it, and also our online viewers from India and abroad. I hope you found this meaningful, and please do read the Growth Mandate book written by Ashish. I'm sure we'll get a lot of pearls of wisdom from it and a lot of insights. And the good thing about reading books is that every time you read the same book, you get a different perspective. So I think that's something which is there. So thank you everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was good fun.
Inspiring session on the growth mindset. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished dignitaries and the panelists for their valuable insights and engaging discussions. I'm sure your perspectives on translating the 7 levers of growth into action have truly enriched our understanding of purposeful and sustainable leadership. A sincere thanks to all our guests who were there in person and to all our global audiences who have joined us virtually. Your participation and energy has made this conversation truly special for us. So let's continue to carry forward the spirit of growth and purpose that today's dialogue has ignited. For all those who want to purchase the book, it is available on the counter and you can get it signed by Ashish as well. And please join us for the high tea. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Thank you.